I'd like to raise a glass. You and I are both drinking what you will explain here shortly, but cheers to you, brother. Happy Monday morning. Happy
Salute, man.
holidays. Tim, what did we just drink? What is that stuff?
That is a highly concentrated green juice, and nobody should ever drink that because it has super concentrated nutrients in it, and the side effects could be quick, increased energy within 20 minutes, lasting energy for 4 to 6 hours with no crash. You can start sleeping better. You can cut your grocery bill in half. It'll literally eat half as much food as your cells get nourished. Again, when you eat less, you sleep better. It, mood improves, gastrointestinal tract starts improving, starts cleaning out. So these are some things that you should never drink green juice because these are some of these horrible side effects.
Dude, I did not even really think about it, but you are right. My appetite has decreased, I would say, by probably 25 or 30%. And I've been drinking it now for, I guess, 2 weeks. And I have noticed that I'm not as hungry in the afternoon and especially in the evening. And I've been just kind of nibbling in the evening time and not even really having dinner. I'm cooking it for my family, but just like kind of picking a little bit. And I did not even put two and two together.
Well, that would actually make sense because you're most likely, based on your lifestyle, eating more nutritious food than most people. So it will reduce it. But the average person who's eating processed foods literally will eat half as much food, half as much, period. And I've been doing this, we just had our 10th year anniversary with this company, and that green product it's our first product and it's our number one seller. And it's not like it's magic or anything. It's just simply we actually made one where we didn't spare any expense. I made it for myself, really, and my small group of little coaching students that I had in the beginning. That's all it was for, because I just got frustrated going out. And I remember I had a protein powder this one time that I was recommending to people back when I was doing the protein powders. No offensive, guess somebody's still doing those stuff. I mean, I'll have some from time to time. I just think that overconsumption of protein, especially even some of these vegan ones, they have a lot of heavy metals in them now. A lot of them have been tested. They're kind of screwed up. They're not fermented or sprouted and really broken down very well, so they're assimilable. But too much protein is why all these kidney and dialysis clinics are popping up. It's the overconsumption of these proteins. It's not like we don't need protein. Of course we do. We need protein, we need fat, and we need carbohydrates. We need those things. Those are the macronutrients. But yeah, so yeah, had this protein powder and I got a new jar of it and it had a new label on it. But the only thing that was different on the label is two words, xanthan gum. And it was in the exact same label on the front, but on the back under the ingredients, it said xanthan gum. And I was like, wait a minute, the old one doesn't say that. And, if you look at my shirt, if you guys are listening, my shirt says, what does it say, Sean?
It says ingredients matter.
Yeah, ingredients matter. So I'm like, because I'm being like the detective. I'm Sherlock Holmes of the food industry, especially for my clients. They're counting on me, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? I was sitting on the countertop, and I'm like, and I went and looked it up, and I'm like, what is this? And I was like, it's an emulsifier. They use it so that when you shake the shake up, it won't separate. Because God forbid you got to shake your drink a couple times and move your lymphatic system and detox. And so, and I looked it up. It was mutated corn syrup fermented in bacterium. Well, mutated, that doesn't sound that great, but okay, whatever. Maybe it could be good for me. But then I researched a little bit more and I found out it actually eats the lining of the intestinal tract. So not good. I had to call up all my coaching students like, hey, I'm sorry. Like this thing that I was telling you about, they switcherooed. So send it back, get your money back, throw it in the garbage, whatever. But we're not doing that anymore. Let me do some more homework. This kept happening over and over and over again as these companies, many people probably know Siete brand chips. They make those cassava, those root-based chips that were so good and stuff like that. It was so exciting. They blew up. They're all over the place. Well, not too long ago, they got bought by PepsiCo.
Right.
So as soon
Right.
as that shit happens, I'm out. Like as soon as a big corporation buys up a little one, Burt Bees was another one that got bought out completely. Now that stuff's garbage.
What about the primal products and mayonnaise and stuff from Mark Sisson?
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is like type in the name of who purchased blah blah blah, and then put the company in, and then it'll tell you. Like New Chapter has been purchased, Garden of Life was purchased, and Garden of Life was one of the first ones that I was actually using in the beginning because it was told to me by somebody that I trusted. And I learned some other stuff about them, but the bottom line is that ingredients do matter, and when large corporations suck up these businesses because if a company here's what happens, like Tom's of Maine, perfect example. They were the first ones to really come out in a big way in the commercial space with a fluoride-free toothpaste. And information with the internet, people are like, "Oh, fluoride, it's a byproduct of the aluminum industry. Yummy, let's put that in our mouth." And people are like, "Oh, that's toxic." And they started seeing studies, and it's making men infertile and just massive problems, right? Brain issues. And so people started buying that up, and Tom's of Maine started getting more and more shelf space. That is very valuable real estate. That is money making central right there. So they got purchased. And then now I was in Walmart. I don't know. It was about a year ago, and I remember because I had to get my dad's pharmaceutical drugs. It's this part of my life that's just unbelievable to me that I'm even in there. I'm looking at the pharmacy every day, every week, and I went over and it said Tom's of Maine toothpaste with fluoride.
Oh,
Tom's of
nice.
Maine toothpaste without fluoride. So they brought it back in. So they still have the without, but they got the within.
Sure.
And because of labeling laws, I don't really know what's in the without one. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, yeah, hiding the football.
Yeah. And so that was one of the
Yeah.
reasons, like when we had it, we came out with we actually came out with a toothpaste a couple years ago that you can actually that I'll just say this, I built it so that I could swallow it and it won't all it will do is boost my immune system, right? Because if your
Well,
too if your
yeah,
toothpaste says "harmful if swallowed, please contact the poison control center." Like, pull your
don't put it in your
toothpaste
mouth.
out and read the fricking label. Because I remember I did, 15 years ago, I'm like, "Oh my god. What am I putting?" And then I remember sodium lauryl sulfate. They told me that's a known carcinogen cancer causer that's in your shampoo. I go to my shampoo, first ingredient, sodium lauryl sulfate. I'm like, holy crap, I've been putting cancer causing agents in my scalp and washing it all over my body and getting into my eyes and all this stuff and probably a little bit. I'm like, what? I had no idea 15 years ago any of this stuff was happening, but my health was completely trashed after being an athlete, playing baseball for 30 years.
I definitely wanna get into your story because it as a catalyst and a context for the product your products that are incredible and the story and the greater narrative around why people should be reading labels and why it's important to understand what you're putting in, on, and around your body. I definitely wanna get to that, but I wanna stay on green juice for a minute because I've been a fan of green juice for a long time. AG1 sponsored my podcast years and years and years ago. I've tried, I don't know, maybe a dozen different types of green juice from, really sugary stuff to the iterations and versions of AG1 to a bunch of other ones. And yours is noticeably different. When I first received it and I took it out and I kind of smelled it and then I, messed around with it, looked at it a little bit, the texture was totally different than any other juice powder drink that I've tried. And I've liked some of them, but this was noticeably different was the texture, which says to me, okay, if this is fine, like the finest powder that I've kind of ever seen, especially for green juice, and the flavor felt like it was kind of almost like coming alive in my mouth. It felt like it was sort of expressing itself inside my mouth. The flavor was just right. It was sweet, but not overly sweet. So I want to give an opportunity because I want to tell the truth, and that's the point of this whole podcast. And if you're open to it, I do want you to name some names. Why is your product, and we'll tell people what it is and how to get it and where to find it and all that stuff. Why is your green juice the best in the world? Why is it better than Purium? Why is it better than AG1 or Organifi? Like, what makes yours different? And do all those other ones suck ass?
Well, first off, I'm just a green juice junkie, right? And I've literally one of the core foundational things that healed myself was green juice. And the key was doing 2 green juices a day. We'll have to tell my story later, but I had a friend that had cancer, and we went to Hippocrates Wellness Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. And they actually had been in business at the time 61 years. They were the ones who invented green juice. And Wigmore heals herself of stage 4 colon cancer. This is the gal who started that place, a gal from Lithuania. Anyway, so they were doing, when you go there, you're going to do 2 ounces of wheatgrass in the morning And then you're going to do like a 16-ounce green juice that's half cucumber celery. The other half is sunflower and pea sprouts, like living sprouts that were fresh cut. And then in the afternoon, you're going to do that again. You're going to repeat that process and do 2 ounces fresh of wheatgrass. So you make it and you drink it within 15 minutes of making it, because after 15 minutes, the nutrients are gone. They just disappear because the living nutrition. And so I was like, oh, okay. So they sold me on that. Now they had this thing called the Take It Home program. And this lady's like, look, we've done clinical research on over 600,000 human beings. We've done it where we've given them 2 green juices a day versus 1. The people that are doing 2 are having far better results. If you're not doing 2 green juices a day, you're not on the protocol. Do not expect the same results. Well, I felt so freaking good, and my friend was doing so well. I'm like, I'm doing this. So I bought a big, expensive juicer, and I started growing wheatgrass, and I started growing sunflower sprouts, and I had problems. I had mold issues because I had shitty seeds, and I didn't know that was, about all this other stuff. And it took me a few months to finally get everything kind of rolling and going, but I did. And I was committed to it because my friend had cancer. What I've realized is that most people are not going to do what I did. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to grow this stuff in their house, their garage. They're not going to cut it. They're not going to juice it. They're not going to clean the
No,
frickin' juicer. It ain't going to
no,
happen.
they're
I've
not.
had 5,500 people to my house, Sean, and I've taught them these detox nutrition classes. I handed them fresh pressed wheatgrass juice. I handed them a green juice, and I said, sit down. And I started teaching them detoxification. And we'd serve them a living food dinner. And I'd get calls for 2, 3, 4, 5 days after one of those classes. And people are like, Tim, I still have energy from those one shot of juice and that green juice and that meal. That one meal. And I'm like, yeah, just imagine what you'd feel like if you did it on the daily like I do. This is how I reclaim my health. That was the backstory of why I do 2 green juices a day. It's not just some rabbit I pulled out of a hat. Is based on 61 years of clinical research on 600,000 human beings. Why is it working so well? Well, one of the reasons is because 95% of people are not drinking enough water. They're not hydrated. And when you squeeze juice out of a vegetable or a fruit, but the fruit has a bunch of sugar in it, so let's just stick on the veggies. When you take any water out of a vegetable, did you know, you probably did, that that water is actually structured water, the fourth phase of water, which is what our body really wants. And the water that's coming out of the tap from your city is all messed up. The bond angle has been switched. It's about it's 105.4 degree bond angle. The water that's inside of a cucumber or celery or aloe vera or whatever is 120 degree bond angle. It's sacred geometry hexagonal. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's this fourth phase of water. We've heard of liquid water. You pour it. Ice, hard, solid water, right? That's the second phase. Third phase, gas, steam. But there's a fourth phase, and that's the water that's inside of all these veggies. And it's the water that's inside of us. When we get cut, some blood comes out, and I know that's made of water, but you don't see water just coming out because all the water is in this fourth phase. It's a gel-like. It's called exclusion zone water, easy water. So I don't want to digress too much into this because people are probably, when you first hear about this, you're like, what? Because it's like hearing the earth is round or flat and going, you never heard of the other side before and you're kind of flipped. But I just want you to understand that this is a big deal because this is the actual water that the body needs, and it's hyper absorbable. And it also helps the cell mitochondria to produce ATP, which is energy production. Okay. So that one thing there alone, the average person's consuming about 1 quart of water a day, and you actually need about 3. Okay. That's just average. And so if you're drinking 2 green juices a day, what are you doing? You're adding in those 2 quarts of water that you were not getting. And what is it? That water structured water. So when you make those fresh pressed green juices, that was one of the advantages. Now, the other advantage is that this stuff was fresh. They were taking fresh wheatgrass that was harvested, and they were also taking sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts that were harvested, and they were juicing those. And look, I got more green juice coming. It just never stops around here, right?
Wait,
So this is the fresh
yeah,
one, all right? And
got it.
thank you. And so you get all these when you're taking these living foods, you're not only getting minerals and trace minerals and vitamins and this type of stuff that most people are aware of, but you're also getting hormones and oxygen and phytonutrients and enzymes that are only available in living foods. Now, the Oregon State University is one of the top phytochemical research places on the planet. period. And when in about 2010, I believe, I remember reading something where they're studying wheatgrass. And why are they studying wheatgrass? Because it has amazing healing properties. It's got like, I think at the time they had like 70,000 phytonutrients or plant nutrients. That's what phyto means. It means plant nutrients that have the ability to, listen to this, heal and prevent disease. Imagine
Mhm.
having 70,000 little microscopic warriors going into your body to heal you and prevent disease. That's all just in wheatgrass. Now, 2 years later, they had counted 74,000 phytochemicals. Now, and still counting. I don't know what it is now. There could be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these plant chemicals or nutrients that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease. So then I'm thinking, well, no wonder everybody under the sun, no matter what your blood type, no matter what your background was getting better on this program because the two things were happening. They were flooding the body with structured water from these plant extracts, and they were also flooding the body with major amounts of phytonutrients, plus the hormones, the oxygen, and enzymes. And it's kind of funny is the acronym is actually HOPE, HOPE, hormones, oxygen, phytonutrients, enzymes. Pretty cool, all right?
Very
And
cool.
so when I got back home, I started doing all this stuff, and I had 5,500 people to my home, and I sold 5,000 juicers. So the juicing companies love me, but the problem is I went over to a CPA's house, Chad, a friend of mine. He had bought the juicer because he wanted the results. Because I dropped 42 pounds in 60 days. My buddy Charles, who had cancer, had dropped 60 pounds in 90 days, and Adam had dropped 80 pounds in 90 days. We all went full tilt on this to support Charles because of his cancer. And it was shocking to people. It's like, now you see Tim, now you don't. Like half of me is like
Right.
gone almost, or a third of me is gone.
Yeah.
And my friends are freaking out, like, what did you do? And I'm like, dude, I told you what I did. I've been telling you over the phone, but I thought I was nuts, because Charles is going to heal himself, and we're drinking these green juices, and we're eating sprouts, and it's just like that's a weird, bizarre thing for people to hear, and because most people think you
Sure.
get cancer and you're going to die, and that was my thing. It's like, how could that be helping people? Actually, side note, like Charles he had chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which was a blood cancer. His white blood cell counts are supposed to be ours. Everybody's supposed to be about 4 to 10,000 per million. His were at 36,000 per million and climbing. Major problems going on here. After 2 weeks of doing these green juices and these phytonutrient rich juices and this structured water juices thing, his white blood cell counts had dropped down to like 26,000.
Wow.
6 months later, 18, 6 months later, 15, 6 months later, 13. And in 2.5 years, he'd healed himself. He changed the environment. He flooded himself with these healing juices. So, I mean, I committed to it and I made those juices. And it took me 45 minutes a day to make them. And then eventually, per juice. And I was doing it twice a day for me and my wife, wheatgrass and the green juice. And then I got it down to like 16, 17 minutes flat. Man, I could bang it out because I got really good at it. I was trying to be very efficient. 34 minutes a day. Guess how many people will do that?
Just you.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. And the ones that were doing it have cancer. And I learned that over at Chad's house because he goes, yeah, I'll be right back. And I was sitting in his kitchen. So I'm looking around. Where's the juicer? That's what I'm thinking. Where's his juicer? And I'm like, hey, Chad, where's your juicer? He's like, it was down under the cupboard. He pulls it out, dusts it off. I'm like, you're not even juicing, are you? He's like, nah. I'm like, dude, you begged me. You wanted to get these results. Why aren't you doing this? He's like, oh, number one answer, I don't want to clean the damn juicer. So that was the problem. I asked Chad and he said, he goes, I can't get my wife to do it. I don't want to clean. I don't have time. I don't have time to be magnificently healthy and vibrant, is what it boiled down to. And it was just, whoa. And so I realized I'd failed Chad because he didn't go get that full indoctrination like I did. Like they put me into utopia. They flooded my body with it. They were handing the stuff to me. And basically, and then I felt so good. Nobody could take that feeling away from me. He got a taste of it at my house during that class, but it wasn't enough because he was right back to his busy life and he bought the juicer, but he didn't start growing sprouts. He was buying the sprouts for me, but then him and his family were just putting them in salads and stuff. He wasn't juicing them. So anyway, I interviewed a bunch of people that had been to my class and I found out about 1 out of 10 were actually doing the juice twice a day and most of them had cancer. So we were actually growing sprouts in my garage for about 40 to 60 cancer patients a week. And they were buying the wheatgrass from us and the sprouts and all this stuff. And I was going to go nationwide and I'm selling sprouts to everybody and I'm going to help everybody heal. But this thing called summer came and sprouts go bad real quick, and we started having issues because they're very perishable. And that's the thing, you got to get them in that. There's a little teeny tiny window there. That's why it has to be local, and it's best to grow them yourself. So, with that being said, that's how the green juice came about. And then I found Dr. Scott Treadway and I said, "Hey, look, dude." And this guy was like a genius. He'd wrote a ghostwriter for a lot of doctors that most people would know on this podcast. He wrote their books and he had studied Indian Ayurvedic traditional medicine, which is basically based on 10,000 years of biological engineering system science. So it's like engineers don't make mistakes. Things have to work or people die, bridges and airplanes and stuff. So that is how Ayurvedic traditional medicine works. It's 10,000 years of figuring out what doesn't work to figure out what does work. So his knowledge with that and Chinese herbology and Western herbology, he's the one that helped me craft this. And I said, I want this to be as close to a fresh pressed green juice as possible. And so he put his knowledge in it and his 41 years of sourcing the raw materials. I just piggybacked off of him, and it took me 33 labs to find this guy. I mean, I'm calling everybody, and people don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm like, "You have Kirlian photography?" And they're like, "What is that?" It's a way to measure the energetics of the raw materials, and you can actually see it through photos or through video. And nobody even knew what I was talking about. They looked like a dog turning their head sideways. They didn't know, they were just clueless. They were just making supplements and stuff. And so when I asked him, I was like, "Do you have Kirlian photography?" He's like, "Oh, yes, we have two of those machines here at our lab." And I'm like, "No way." And then he started talking. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is my dude. Like, this is the guy." And so I just piggybacked off that. He helped me make the formula. And then just to give you an example, the almost a third of this product is concentrated wheat grass juice extract. So it's actual juice, not the blades just ground up into a powder, which it's very cheap to do. And then it's concentrated somewhere between 21 to 1 to 33 to 1. So what that means is that you would have to actually go out and consume about 10 to 30 jars or bags of other greens to get the nutrients that's in one of the ones that Dr. Treadway helped me put together. That's the difference. And that's why we put a double your money back guarantee. And I've been yelling for years. I don't even know what I'm doing with marketing. That was the thing. I was a financial advisor. I think I'm just figuring out marketing like last week. Like literally, but I tell you what does work is word of mouth, because people like you get on the product and it speaks for itself, because this stuff
Yeah.
works for about 98% of people up the middle. Will be a few people that might have an allergic reaction. You might get itching or swelling or something like that because of one of the ingredients, because people's immune systems are so crashed. We will actually work with you. We'll help you find you a different product, or put you on some other minerals, help you detox, get that crap out of you so that you don't have these allergic reactions and you don't have pet allergies and seasonal allergies, and all kinds of allergies suck. And the reason why they suck is because they make you feel bad. But if your immune system's down, these are the things that are potential of happening to people. So we want to help you boost your immune system back up. We're actually a coaching company that actually had the products come secondary because I got pissed off because of that xanthan gum deal with the
Yeah.
protein powders. So that's kind
Yeah.
of how the whole thing got going, and that's why the green juices work. And I have a question for you. So it sounds to me like you did the original flavor. Is that what you did, or did you do the
Yeah.
apple?
I have the original flavor.
Yeah. So the original flavor has about a 20% I love it rate. And so we would tell people, hey, you got to mix it with cranberry juice or unsweetened tart cherry juice or lemons or limes and stuff like that. And we really struggled actually getting a lot of kids on it, unless the kids were babies. The babies would drink it and love it because their taste buds had not been hijacked yet.
Uh,
And right at about our 10th year anniversary, October 19th of 2025, just a little bit before this recording, we released finally our apple flavor, which tastes like literally apple sugar water Kool-Aid. And so now that your kids that have been corrupted, you got some picky eaters out there. You want to get 5 pounds of vegetables into them and one scoop of this stuff. You can actually get 10 women and moms, I should say, and fathers, dads. You can get 10 pounds of vegetables into your children every day, just getting 2 of these green juices in. And more importantly, 10 pounds in yourself too, so that you can handle life today and have the energy to
Yeah.
get things done.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing to me is that a lot, I think, and you speak to this before, which is a lot of people a little nervous about getting 10 pounds of juice or 10 pounds of veggies into their body because
Great
they have a little
question.
nervous about digestion and disaster pants from green
Let me go
juice.
through this. So yeah, here's the deal. Number one, I asked this question to Dr. Treadway. So this is a good question. I'm like, "What happened?" That's a lot of nutrients. He says, "Look, these are naturally occurring nutrients in nature." And he's like, "What your body will take what it needs and will get rid of the rest." We don't have diarrhea issues with this stuff at all. We actually have a product. This product will help start cleaning out the gastrointestinal tract. But we actually have a product that does an even better job of that, because this is like a kind of like a Swiss Army knife when it comes in. It just starts working on all kinds of stuff. It helps to get you to hydrate just by the fact that you have to mix it with some water. Number 2, phytonutrients. We just talked about all that, and the enzymes and the trace minerals and all this stuff, and the vitamins that are in there. But it's also got all these, it's got binders in it and certain things for heavy metals. It's got probiotics. We put enzymes in it. I actually, during COVID, at no extra charge, I just put in vitamin D3 because people were not getting outside. And I was like losing my mind about this, because especially people that have dark skin that are living up in cold areas, like above the 45th parallel, that was a death sentence for these people, like a death sentence. And so we put vitamin D3 in there. The bottom line is it's like the foundation. It's one of the big pillars of problems that we have. Number 1 is toxins, number 2 is deficiencies, and number 3 is stress. Those are the 3 things that we work on over here. It's really simple. It's 3 categories. So we flood the body with water to hydrate to help start the detoxification process, and we take things like gut detox and our toxin detox to get the heavy metals, the radiation, the pollution out. And then we use the green juices and the minerals to flood the body with the nutrients to replace what's been farmed out of the soil. About 85%, by the way, is not in the soil anymore. Most people are walking around on 15% fuel. That's why people feel so good when they take it. You're actually topping off the tank. Now you're running on 100% octane. It's awesome. And then the third thing is teaching people to remove stressors from their life, whether it's toxic people, toxic Wi Fi, toxic foods, processed foods for sure, that kill about 4,300 people a year, or a day, excuse me, in this country. That's a 9/11 and a half event, just going into the grocery store and buying processed foods. So those are kind of the main things. And then the last thing is to teach people to respond differently to certain stressors in their life that they can't switch right now, or they might not ever be able to switch, right? There might be certain things. So you need to learn how to set your sail a little bit different so you can still get the ship going in your life in the direction that you want it. That's basically what we do over here.
Love it. The reason why and everyone who's listening or watching right now, understand you're so well spoken, you're so energetic, you're so clear, your memory is great. For those of you watching on
I'm
YouTube, Tim
112
look
years old too, by the way.
yeah, he looks great for 112. He's youthful. He's fit. Here's the thing that I think is very interesting. And I've recorded, 335 episodes with all sorts of formulators and people with different origin stories. And what jumps out to me is your origin story is like you were helping a buddy out and it blew your mind. And then you went further, and then you went further, and then you went further. And then you were like, I got to tell everybody. I just got to tell everybody because this stuff is amazing. And the passion to help not just your buddy and yourself, but your friends and your neighbors and your family, then it grows from there. It grows from this passion around health, around optimization, around vibrancy. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I support health and vibrancy, detoxification, and a better life? Okay, well, people need this. So I'm going to just fucking make it. I'm just going to figure a way to formulate it, and I'll make it. And what else do people need? Well, they need this and this and this. They need some hand holding and some coaching and some support. Okay, cool. I'll give them this. That's a unique thing to me in this industry, and from where I'm sitting, is because a lot of people go in to make a buck. They see an opportunity, they create a product, they make a buck, and they're like, cool, how do I make way more money and give other people, or maybe convince other people that they need this stuff? You're the opposite. It's like your campaign for chemical-free bodies, your campaign for health optimization is then backfilled by stuff that people need. And that's a very unique thing in this industry. And when you go to your website, when you read everything, and there is a ton of information, you understand really clearly that Tim is here because he's passionate and he's figured this stuff out. He's taken his abilities, his talents, his skills, and applied it to something that he's passionate about, and he's not chasing piles of money. You're chasing health optimization. And so I just want to give you credit for it, and what that yields is products like the ones that you provide for people. So kudos. That's a
Yeah, I
little
appreciate
smoke.
it. I appreciate it. And I have moments still to this day where it's like sometimes I get frustrated because I see these crappy products out there and they got great marketing and they're just selling to millions of people. And I'm like, God, when are we going to get there? It's like here I am. I have products that are literally like gold mines. Dr. Treadway left me with like I have probably 5 products that could start companies by themselves that nobody knows about because they don't know the story because they have to learn the story and they have to get on the stuff. We have a product that we only sell literally about 60, 70 bottles a month. It's called Alpha Energy. That actually wasn't Dr. Treadway's product. It was another formulator friend of his. And about 10 years ago when I hit my 40s, I think I was like 42, my buddies started hitting 42 as well. And guess what they started doing? What do you think my friends started doing in their 40s? No, they started doing testosterone injections
Right, of
because their
course.
testosterone was dropping. At
Sure.
age 28, it starts dropping. And then when you throw in all these estrogen mimickers from drinking out of plastic bottles and all the freaking wearing polyester and wearing cotton underwear that was sprayed with synthetic, and cotton's the number 2 sprayed crop behind sugarcane. It's
Mm,
so your balls are getting soaked up in toxic pesticides that are estrogen mimickers, right? And so testosterone is dropping and the fluoride and all this crap that's out there, right? Pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, chemical fertilizers, the air fresheners, the toothpaste, the sodium lauryl sulfate, and it's like the plastics, it's everywhere. And people are wearing plastic clothing, like we just talked about. And so they don't understand. No wonder guys are getting feminized, right? And so their
yeah.
testosterone is really crashing. And they're like, dude, I got this testosterone shot. I feel amazing. And I'm like, bro, do you know what you're doing? Like you are literally it's like putting your arm in a sling. If you put your arm in a sling long enough, what happens? It atrophies. The muscle wastes away. What doesn't get used goes away. That's how nature works. I said you're putting your testosterone making ability in a sling. And at this point I had no solution for them. None. And I started thinking about myself too. I didn't have an issue at that point in time, I think, because all the other stuff I was doing. But I'm like, so I called Dr. Treadway up and I'm like, hey man, all my buddies are starting to get testosterone injections. And number one, I hate needles. And I said, we need something to help these guys. I'm like, this is killing me because they're going to be hooked on these injections the rest of their life. Yeah, they feel good immediately because everybody wants that quick fix. He's like, oh, yes, Tim. Well, I have this formula that I have access to. He's like, it wasn't mine, but a friend of mine, he goes, it's quite interesting. And he goes, it takes about 6 to 9 months. You take 3 capsules a day, they're herbal capsules, and it will slowly build up the natural precursors to build your own testosterone. And I was like, oh, that sounds much better. So then I started telling my friends about it. And then still half of them were like, well, I'm just going to do the shots. It's quicker. And so I'm like, whatever. So I said, just make the product. I want it for myself. I got a couple friends in my coaching stuff that want it. So I started off with these little batches, dude. And it was actually the formulator that made it. It was on the 60s Soviet Olympic team. And go look up the medals that the Soviet Union had in the 1960s.
Oh,
I'll just tell people, go look it up and you'll see what the potential is. And actually it works on women too, because Treadway gave this formula years ago to one of those network marketing companies, and they created a testosterone product around it, and the guys were loving it. But the women were having great libido, and they see women. It worked on women too. And Scott was like, "What? Really?" He goes, "I had no idea." And so he after he spoke at their event, he actually in the audience he goes, "How many women are taking this?" And then he was actually grab a mic and he was going around and he was collecting data, right?
wow.
Biological engineering system science. He was collecting data to find out what was going on because he had to go back and find out why. He was very curious about why it was working for women too. And so that was interesting. So that's just one dude, that's like one of the products right there.
Yeah.
And I had
Yeah.
a buddy of mine, Jake, who's 48 years old. He called me and over a year ago and he's like, dude, my testosterone's dropping. He really like CrossFit. My numbers are going down. I said, just take 3 of these a day. And he called me like 3 months ago. I was like, dude, my testosterone was 1368. The doctor
Gee.
was flipping out. 48 years old. I had another guy that was a pro bodybuilder. He was doing the testosterone. I won't say who he was, but he was Mr. Oregon at one point in time. I mean, he looked like Schwarzenegger. And I went over to his house and he had the testosterone. I go, "Hey man, are you taking this?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "But I know what I'm doing. That's the good black market stuff, and I'm titrating it." And I'm like, "Bro." And then he got on it, and a little over a year later, it was about 1100. His testosterone. He was in his mid 50s. So this is the this so that's like that's a big deal because how many people are buying all this crap stuff for
Yeah.
testosterone, right?
Yeah.
But I'm right now my main focus is like now with that new flavor of Green 85, the apple that we have a 90% I love it rate. I'm going that's it. I'm just like I as far as I'm considered, that's the only product we have right now. I'm focusing on that and trying to learn how to communicate it and just get people to try it so they can feel it and experience it. And once we get that down, then I'll turn the corner and I'll go back to one of the other products and then try to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and just then I'll go I just got to learn how to do the marketing side of it. That's all I got to do now.
Well, what's interesting to me, and this is a theme that comes up a lot in conversations on this very podcast, is when you are already tired, sluggish, low energy, you know, feeling lousy. If you're walking around at a 2 out of 10 energy, it's tough to do the research. It's tough to do the reading. It's tough to get the initiative to find great products and eat and prepare great food and get great sleep because you're already at a 2 out of 10. And occasionally, when people find something that works really, really well, whether it be a green juice, whether it be some sort of vitamin or supplement, they go from a 2 out of 10 to like a 5 out of 10 in a month or two, and then suddenly they have all this energy, and then they go for more walks, and they get better sleep. They have lower stress. And so that 5 then goes to a 7, and then it's this like flywheel of energy that then goes into their life that makes their life better. And it could be anything for any one given person, but when something works for you and then you have energy, that energy begets more energy, more initiative, more focus, and then your life changes. And so that story kind of reminds me of this idea that, and then what's downstream from that? Well, what's downstream from more energy, higher quality of life, better ability to focus, everything kind of falls into place. Your relationships are better, your finances are better, your physique is better, opportunities present themselves for you to live a better life. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of an adjustment. And I want to now navigate into this next topic because you and I are similar in which we want stuff that works. Now, maybe it's the highest quality green juice on the planet. Maybe it's some circadian thing you're doing. Maybe you're grounding in the morning and watching the sun come up, and that's changing your life. You and I connected recently, specifically around dry fasting. I saw some of your posts. I reached out through a friend in common, and we connected together on dry fasting. And you said to me in our very first conversation, the suite of incredible products that you provide is now in a new context around the journey that people can go on to get themselves ready to do a dry fast. And then exiting that dry fast with the best possible ingredients, the best possible nutrition to heal themselves. And so, because you're going to be joining us on January 8th for a dry fast with friends, because you've already done multi-day, 11-day dry fasts,
Did it I
because
did a 1 and then a 1 and a 2 and then I did a 5-day in 5 hours and I'm taking that 5 hours and then also an 8-day.
and then an 8-day. So now you're in the, 0.01% of the global population of people who have dry fasted for
Yeah.
multiple
Well,
days and multiple.
let me see if I can paraphrase what I said when we
Sure.
first met and we were just
Yeah.
BSing, which is that after I can't remember if it was the 5-day or the 8-day, but after I did those 2 dry fasts, I realized that everything that I had been doing for the last 15 years had brought me to this moment, and all the products and everything that we do at Chemical Free Body with the coaching and the detox products and the nutrition, all the stuff was for one reason, and that is to get people prepared for a dry fast. That's it. We want to get people prepared so they can do their first dry fast, even if it's a 1-day one, which is probably where most people should start because there's a lot of fear wrapped around this. Don't do it. You're going to die. You're going to die without water. You can't live without food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast. You've had this since you were a freaking kid. It was shoved down your throat by your parents. Got to eat your breakfast before you get to school. You got to have your energy. And they didn't know it actually zapped your energy. Right. So, like, everything that I've done in my life has got, and everything about my company now is to help people get ready for their first dry fast, whether it's in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever. Even if you never get to one, we still want to get you prepared for one, and then to help cradle them afterwards and support them with the nutrition and the coaching and the stuff like that after the dry fast. So we can keep going up the ladder, up the ladder, up the ladder. Because the dry fast, your audience probably knows this isn't something we're doing every week. This is once a year, maybe twice a year. Unless you're obese, you might do a few in a row. Or if you're like me and you're just super excited about it, like I'm just going to do another one, right? It's like I'm excited because I don't know anything in 15 years that I've seen or done. And I mean, grounding sheets and red lights and bentonite clay and detoxes and putting coffee up my butt and wheatgrass enemas and I mean, you name it, dude. Like I just got a bunch of regenerative medicine therapy and biological dentistry, and I've done some pretty cool things, and they've all stacked up, and there is nothing more powerful than anything that I've ever seen than a dry fast. And the beautiful part about it is, like, it's better than free. It's better than free because when you're not eating, you don't have to pay the money to go eat. So you're
Right.
actually saving money, right?
Right.
It's so cool, and then it's also, yeah, we want to prepare people physically and emotionally and mentally for a dry fast. That's all I want to do now. That's it. That's where we're going with this company because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like urine therapy. I thought the first time I heard about it 4, 5, 6 years ago, some guy's like, "Dude, you got to get this guy on your podcast. He's doing urotherapy." I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "He drinks his urine." And I'm open-minded guy, and I'm like, he's drinking urine? Okay." Kinda looked it up a little bit, "Oh, okay, a little bit." And I just kinda sidelined that one because I was on a different frequency, I was on a different channel at that time. It wasn't until I hosted a influencers event at Mountains of Hope, it's a cancer thing, I was the GM, it's a healing clinic out of, Rio Negro, Colombia. Dr. Ed Group was there, and I got to hang out with him and Jonathan Otto, and I had Group on the right and Otto on the left, and these guys are throwing studies at me, and Group's got a whole course around urine therapy, and I'm like, "All right." And I got up, and I went and drank my pee. And I thought it was weird, but it was like it was overwhelmingly like, and these guys weren't bullshitting me, and they were both healthy, and I'm just like, "Okay." It's like, I have to do this because I will do anything to upgrade my health, period. Pretty much anything. I will do anything as long as it doesn't harm somebody else. I'll try stuff. If it harms me, that's fine, but I'll try it. That way I know, and then I can share it with my coaching students and stuff. But that's how I got into that, and then so I started doing urine therapy. I actually got she won't mind if I say this, but Dr. Christiane Northrup, she said she was at a conference one time, and this big, young, strapping guy got up, and he was talking about urine therapy, and she thought, "Nah, this guy's a joke, like, I ain't know it." 5 minutes on a boat, I convinced her, and she started drinking her pee. Right? Because I just told the story and I explained stuff to her and some of the benefits. She's like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." She's like, "I have to do this." Right? Why? Because she loves herself and she wants a high
Mm,
quality of life and she's willing to do what other people aren't willing to do to have the life other people will never have. And all we're talking, and the thing I loved about urine therapy was it's friggin' free. It's
yeah.
this built-in God medicine clinic inside of us. And it's the same thing with dry fasting. It's just this built-in clinic. It's just like activating God's little workers inside of you to clean up all the mess, heal all the problems, and get you right. It's pretty phenomenal.
I don't know that there are more extreme things than, because I think of the context of wacky, you can think about it as biohacking, or you can think about it as, I don't know, natural health or integrated health. I don't know that it gets wackier than drinking your own pee and or going without food and water for multiple days.
Well, you know what's really exciting about it
As
is that
wacky as it
a lot
gets.
of people out there, I know this. I was a financial advisor, dude, before I got into this. And over 70% of people in this country, about 72%, have less than $400 in savings. And you see these people that are online and they're biohacking like crazy, and they're buying $5,000 machines and $15,000 machines and $50,000 machines and $150,000 machines, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're testing their blood and showing people what to do. And it's exciting watching. I love looking at this stuff, but the average person is just like, well, I could never afford that, so I'm not able to live to 100, 140 like these guys. So it kinda rips the rug out from underneath them, I believe, and it takes away their excitement and joy around them getting healthy too, because then they start thinking, "Well, I'm not rich, I can't do this." And
Mm,
this is where I come in, and I'm just like, I'm gonna pierce that s I'm gonna blow through that narrative, and I want people to understand it's like, look, if God created you, like, there are no mistakes. You are here for a purpose and a reason. And my God, like it's beautiful because it's free. It's free medicine. Everybody has access to it. And all those
yeah.
$150,000 machines, there ain't nothing that can do what the human body can do. Doing a dry fast and also in your mind. The mind is the most powerful one of all. It's
Yeah.
even more powerful than the dry fast. I'm still learning how to tap into that. Right. And we know this from placebo effects where people take a sugar pill and 30% of them heal.
Right.
Case closed. The mind's the most powerful thing ever. So we have that. So let's dry fast. Let's raise our frequency. Let's drink these green juices. Let's get cleaned out. Let's detox. Let's get our excitement and our energy back, and just keep taking those baby steps and going for walks, and then get yourself where you can do a dry fast, and then we can raise our frequency so we can get into our mind more and understand how
Yes.
powerful that we really are.
That's it. That is it, Tim. That is 100% the driving force behind everything that I do is to get people's bodies in a place, their minds in a place, their emotions, their lifestyle, their spiritual presence and consciousness. Get it all into a place where you feel so good. Life is going so well. You're optimistic and energetic. Things are going good. You're fun to be around. You're on the front foot. Because downstream from that is consciousness expansion. Downstream from getting the body and the brain and all these systems dialed in is literally an evolution of consciousness. It is an opening up of the consciousness. And you and I have talked before, and you know how I think about consciousness, meditation, float tanks, psychedelics, you know, all sorts of other sort of energy medicine and thought frameworks to expand the mind to be more connected to source energy. Like that's the thing. And as I think about it more and more, our ancestors, right? Maybe 20 grandmas ago, who were walking a lot, eating occasionally, drinking water occasionally, sitting around a fire. You know, if you look at and read the work of Rudolf Steiner and some of these other sort of mystics who were dialed into occult knowledge, we had clairvoyance 20 grandmas ago, 30 grandmas ago. We had extrasensory abilities because our bodies were in tune with nature. Our brains were in tune with each other. And what is comes from that is literally like mutant powers, the ability to travel in the astral realm, to speak telepathically, to be connected to God in a fundamental every minute of every day kind of way. And what I believe is the things that we are doing now, the things that you're doing and the things that I'm doing are that's the end goal. That's where this goes. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I think it's all about dropping down societal and parental conditioning and opening up to your true natural vibrational core self and going back to that. No, another permission slip that I like to give people too, because when you bring up telepathy, a lot of people shut down on that. And so I've learned that telepathy is not like me like saying, "Hey Sean, come over to my house at noon today," without speaking. Telepathy is us having the same thoughts at the same time because we're in lockstep. And couples that are in love, that are close, you probably had that where you say the exact same thing at the exact same time. There it is right there. That's it. So it's not this isn't magical stuff. It's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
What
that's what
other
I wanna do is I just kinda wanna help people take the woo-woo out of it by being a living, breathing example of it and trying to explain things how I see them. Because I grew up I'm still here, I'm on the farm, Eastern Oregon. I'm not the most, what would you say, book smart type person. I mean, I can learn things. It took me like 3 months to be able to pronounce chronic lymphocytic leukemia was that cancer my buddy got. I was like, "What'd you just say?" So I've learned that most people are like me. It's just like we talk at like a 5th grade level. It's the way it is, and I'm trying to explain things so most people can understand them. Because you start using long words, and it's like the teacher on the Peanuts. It's like, "Wah, wah, wah, wah," and you lose them, and they're gone. And you're
Sure.
not gonna help people if they don't understand what the hell's going on, or you make them feel inferior. And
Yeah.
again, nobody's inferior, and if you feel inferior, why? What belief systems do
Mhm.
you have that are making you feel this way? What definitions do you have? Where did you pick those up? Why are you carrying around other people's baggage, and why not just drop it and walk away?
I'm gonna let that breathe for people a little bit. Go back and rewind that. Just press rewind like 30 seconds and go re-listen to that. So we as the chicken as the chicken caws in the
Oh, you
backyard.
heard Johnny?
Yeah, is that Johnny?
Yeah, he's a rooster.
That's your rooster?
Yeah.
The Okay, so obviously we're gonna the call to action is gonna be numerous. We're gonna give everybody the website. I'm in absolute love with the green juice. The colloidal silver product is amazing too. But
It's a
I want
nano silver, and the
nano.
nano is not some diabolical crap. Nano is actually the one we have is a larger particle size than colloidal. Colloidal
Okay.
silver is just as particle size. Like you could have colloidal milk. Milk could be called colloidal milk. It's just charged at a certain frequency that doesn't kill the gram-positive bacterium in the gut. So you can actually
Hmm.
swallow this one because silver is an antibiotic. Let's be clear. It just doesn't have all the bad side effects, except one of the side effects is it kills the gram-negative bacterium, which you want, but it also kills the gram-positive bacterium, which is your immune system. So that's the difference. And I was a big proponent of colloidal silver for a long time, but we would only have people buy the nasal one, go
You're right.
2 shots up each nostril, take the silver in through the respiratory tract to get into the bloodstream and avoid the gastrointestinal tract and destroying the gram-positive bacterium. That's how we would do it. In an emergency situation, you have some gastrointestinal bacterium deal, you gotta kill it, you gotta kill it. That'd be a much better deal than a regular prescription antibiotic, I believe. But, yeah, it's great stuff. Really good stuff.
So what else? Because you've laid out, we got green juice, all the products, we've got dry fasting, we've got urine therapy, and I really want to do a dedicated episode, either have, on or really do a deep dive on it. What else in your imaginarium of health optimization policies, protocols, products? What else do you really believe strongly in that people should be doing?
Well, number 1, you gotta get your teeth right, your mouth right. And you should have me back on, and we can do a whole deep dive on that because we got to talk about amalgam fillings,
Yeah.
right? And the mercury and proper
Yep.
removal. I've learned quite a few things about even some of the biological dentists are not doing or things you can add on to. And number two, and I've learned some things from biological dentists too. Number two is root canals. Most of them, almost all of them, are infected, even if they don't bother you, and they need to be pulled. But now you can get a root canal done properly. You can get it done properly with a good biological dentist, but they will be testing you every 6 months to make sure it didn't fail. It is possible now. I just learned that about a year and a half ago. We have Dr. Katie Lee out of Colorado. She's one of our ambassadors. You'll find us on our about page. She fell in love with our products and what we're about over here. She actually taught me something. I said, "Can we work together?" She's going to be doing some clinical trials with our toothpaste and our mouth rinse. Um, then we have to talk about alignment of teeth and meridian. And then probably one of the biggest ones is cavitation. This is the one that most people are not aware of. If you've ever had a tooth pulled, especially wisdom teeth, because that's a tooth. And how many people are getting their wisdom teeth out? It's kind of this kind of thing you do. You just kind of get your wisdom teeth pulled, right? What happened is that when that doctor pulled that wisdom tooth out or any tooth, they accidentally left behind a little piece of a ligament or a tendon or a bone fragment from the jaw bone or from the tooth itself, and then it's got sealed up. And now you've just created a 24/7, 365-day permanent infection in your mouth. It's called a systemic or internal infection. And whoa, I got some stories about that. Get excited. Okay, this is a podcast you're going to want to come and hear because this could be the root cause of what's destroying you. If you're dealing with some debilitating issues, maybe you have cancer, maybe you got some serious joint pain, you got gastrointestinal issues, you got brain fog, you got MS, you got some crazy Graves' disease, Hashimoto, whatever. I mean, fibromyalgia, your teeth could be the culprit and you didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. And I learned that actually from a client like 14 years ago that was doing everything right. Hyperbaric chambers, green juice, saunas. We were doing all of it. She wasn't getting better, and she found out she had cavitations. And back then, there was only 5 dentists in the entire United States that actually knew how to even read the X-rays to even know what a cavitation was. So to
Huh.
even have a dentist that even knew back then was like a needle in a haystack. And it still kind of is, but there's more help now because it's getting out there, and they're doing what are called cavitation surgeries. And
Yeah.
her life,
Yeah.
after she got all those infections removed, boom, the color came back in her face. Her hair started growing in within a few weeks, and she healed. And so I would
Wow.
like to sandbag that one, but the oral microbiome too is another big part because the mouth is the gateway to health. It's connected to the neural system, the brain, the gastrointestinal system, the gut, the cardiovascular system, your heart. It's like the foot bone's connected to the leg bone. Everything is connected in this body and it's not compartmentalized. And if your teeth are all messed up, it could be the underlying causing factor of your health issues, or you not having vibrant energy, or you having achy joints and feeling old and stiff muscles. And I've been through it myself, and I would love to come back on and talk about that and tell my story because it's life changing.
Yeah, I would love
I mean,
that.
it's
Yeah.
tear jerking type life changing for people.
Yeah. I had Dr. Dom Nischwitz from Germany on the podcast a couple of years ago, and an hour just isn't enough time to unpack all of the ramifications of the mouth. So what else? What else besides holistic dentistry and taking care of the mouth? What else are you super passionate about that you know a lot about that people
Well,
don't know?
I've learned a way of living that I think is very simple. It resonated with me back in 2018 to the point where I started practicing it, and I started sharing it a little reluctantly at first with my coaching students, but then the results that they were getting was so amazing. And what it is, it's a 3-part formula, which is following your excitement and your joy. That's it. To the best of your ability with zero insistence on an outcome. That's the formula. So what I've realized is that when you feel excitement and joy and passion, that is your higher self or God, whatever you want it to be, the higher mind, the vortex. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. It could be Jesus, it could be Buddha, it could be Christian, whatever. Doesn't matter. God is speaking to you with the vibrational frequency of love and joy and passion and excitement. And so I really kind of vibrated to the excitement one. That's the one that really connected with me. So it's like when you feel that feeling, that's God saying, go that way. So listening to that is, and then we live in a physical world. So then if you take action on your excitement and your joy and your passion and towards love, then it's just going to reflect more of that back to you. And, and it doesn't have to be some big like career thing. It can be going simply for like, what's the most, like right now, the most exciting thing is like, I'm on this podcast. And maybe this is what's the most exciting thing for you. I think it is. And maybe the listeners that are listening, this is the most exciting thing for them, right? Because you're doing it right now. You're here, you're listening. But when this podcast is over, then you're going to look around and what's the next most exciting thing? What vibe is God going to send you then? And then you're like, then go do that. So that is if there was one goal in my life, even though I have no attachment to outcomes, it's to stay in the path in that thread of excitement and joy and passion and love. Because if you can stay in that thread, if you can stay in that vibrational frequency and you keep taking action on it, the world will just keep giving more back to you. So everything is connected, just like the foot bone, the leg bone, the oral microbiome to the neural system, the cardiovascular system, the gut microbiome. All these things are connected. So the little things are also connected to the bigger things that excite you,
Mm.
like maybe having a new career. So, but if you are excited about calling grandma on the phone, call grandma. Do that. And then when you're done, that's going to help you get that career you want. And then if you're most excited about going on a walk, then go do that. That's going to help you have the finances that you want, right? Because it's all connected. And I liked it because it was simple and I could understand. It's like, why wouldn't I do what's exciting? If you propose this, like, this will solve 80% of your issues, and if you had to write me a check for $10,000 and I said I will help you to help yourself solve 80% of your problems in your life for the rest of your life, well, how much do you charge for that? I'll charge $10,000. If Tony Robbins did that and charged 10,000, he'd have 1 million people pay him $10,000, right? As
Mhm.
of perceived value. I'm telling you, you don't have to pay anybody anything. You just go do it. It will prove itself to you very quickly, right? It just starts working. It just starts working. So you follow your excitement, your joy to the best of your ability with zero insistence on an outcome. And use all your skills and your talents and your abilities and take action. And you just watch what happens, right? But here's the thing. When you start doing this, you're going to see a lot of times many things are going to start happening very rapidly for you. Things are going to start changing, but there's going to be some things that won't. All right. Don't think the formula is not working. It is working, right? Remember, you can't be attached to outcome. And this is where people really drop the ball. It is a complete kit. And if you don't do that last part, you're not completing the recipe. It's like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You don't put jelly on it. You have a peanut butter sandwich. You don't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you want to move your life forward and solve 80% of your issues, you follow your joy, your excitement to the best of your ability. Number two, number three, with zero insistence on an outcome, right? Some of that stuff is going to continue to rear its head. Maybe you have somebody in your life that's going to continue to act a certain, let's say, low frequency negative way towards you. They're doing it for a reason. It's a test to see how you're going to respond to it. It's not like, it's not what matter. It doesn't matter what happens. It's only what matters is how you respond to what happens. So it's a test. And it's a gift. It's really a gift to see if you've changed. Because if you change internally and you start responding differently, then you've truly changed. If it keeps showing up and you're still reacting in the same way, you haven't changed.
Mhm.
See the gift? It's pretty cool. So anyway,
Yeah, it's
that's
great.
something that I really, really, really like and I'm passionate about, and we teach everybody. And it's a very simple formula. It works. It's worked for me, and it might not work for some people, but pretty much everybody that does the formula, I've seen it work for. The ones that it hasn't worked for, their belief system isn't integrated into it enough, or they're not following it completely, and they're still attached to outcomes. But pretty much everybody that has followed it, I've seen. I mean, my coaching students are like, dude, that works. Like, it's all the stuff you've taught me and the food and the health and all these things is great, but that is like life changing for me. That has been life changing.
Yeah,
So that's a big one.
great. Beautiful. What's one book that changed your life?
Well, I would say on the spiritual path, it was Eckhart Tolle's book, and The Power of Now. Just being in for some reason, that book, it was simple, it was easy for me to understand, and I was kind of at the beginning of my spiritual kind of opening up to more out there and me being connected to everything. Now, there's probably a lot of books out there, but understand this, Sean, is that it doesn't matter if it's Eckhart Tolle's book Power of Now, or maybe you read Good to Great, or Napoleon Hill, or whatever. It could be any book, or it could be maybe you went to yoga and that's what changed it for you, or you followed that permission slip that I just gave you about following your excitement, your joy, the best. These are all just permission slips. Everybody has different things they're going to resonate with them. What works for me might not work for you, right? And so it doesn't really matter as long as you're growing and expanding and moving more towards loving yourself and understanding that you're an indestructible being at your core and nothing can hurt you ever. And you're here for a purpose. That's all it really boils down to. It could be a green juice that gets you rocking and rolling. It could be a psychedelic mushroom that gives you that permission slip. It could be whatever. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Share the permission slips that I've found that have worked for me and that I've watched work for thousands of other people. That's all I
Mm.
do. It's real simple.
Dude, you're so likable because you're so nonchalant about it's like, I'm learning things and I'm sharing them. Maybe you're into it, maybe you're not. The way that you present ideas is so magnetic because it's natural and it's authentic and it's not, you're not harping on anything. It's just like, yeah, fuck it, go try it or not. I don't care. Do it, figure out, maybe it's your time, maybe it's not.
No, it's
Maybe you
true
like it,
though. I
maybe you
don't know
don't.
what's gonna work for you. I just know it works
It's
for me.
I don't know, man. There's just something about the way that you're presenting information that I think is really, well, it's a testament to what you're growing. And I don't know. I feel like, guys like you probably don't get the credit. I mean, people like you and they appreciate you and they give you reviews and stuff like that. But I feel the real need to just acknowledge how you show up in the world and what you're doing in this life that you have. And I resonate with it. And I know that everyone listening or watching is too.
That's awesome. Well, the best thing for me, man, is like, and it might sound weird, but it's like I really don't care who gets the message. I'm doing this and I'm sharing this because it is my highest excitement, is my joy, right? And I know that there is somebody out there that it will resonate with. And even if there's just that one person, because I remember what it was like to be sick and be 42 pounds overweight and be shitting blood and be living in fear and have eczema all over my body, cracking and bleeding and have all, I mean, we didn't even talk about my story, but it's like, I mean, I was effed up, you know, I had to be life flighted on emergency surgery to get, and I was very grateful for Western medicine because they are a crisis care management deal and they saved my life. But I just do this because it's my passion. It's what I'm gonna. It's it. I'm just being me, and that's it. And like in one of my social media posts, and it's like if people don't like me, it doesn't matter because guess what? I'm going harder in 2026.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
roll.
Let's
I'm
go.
just gonna keep doing me, and the people that it does resonate with, it will. There's
Yeah.
gonna be people that it doesn't. I mean, we started doing that Instagram thing, and I got people who are like, "You're a moron." Don't tell people about I'm a sports. I've been in sports or whatever physical health for 26 years. This guy's lying through his teeth. Don't drive fast. Oh, stop telling people to do this. There's just a lot of negative stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It's like that's all
Yeah.
their
All
shit.
good.
That's their baggage. I
Yeah.
ain't picking that up. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I'm finally starting to make a dent.
Yeah.
Remember Grant Cardone saying something about, you're not really helping people unless you got haters.
Yeah. Well, unless you've been shadow banned, you're not going hard enough, right?
Yeah. Well,
Unless you,
I had that happen
yeah,
long
I
time
know.
ago.
I know. What I want to do now is land this plane and please tell people where they can go before we get to this point. And obviously in the episode, we'll have details and codes and all sorts of stuff in the beginning of the episode. But where would you, and then after, where people can find you and follow up, I have one more question for
Okay.
you, which is if
Did you, are you an affiliate of ours? I'm sorry. I didn't.
not yet. Actually, I might be. Monday morning lack
When
of
is this going
preparedness on my
out?
part. I'm gonna turn this around for a week from today.
So we have time. So what would you
Yeah, we
like
have time.
so we can let's give them a discount code. What you want your code to be?
OPP.
OPP. All right.
OPP.
We'll make it OPP. So,
Cool.
yeah, so I'm gonna give them. I know it's stupid. Here I go being a dumb marketer because I know better. You're only supposed to give people like one thing to do, but I'm gonna give you a couple. So I'll let you choose, right? So get your pencil, pull over your car, but it'll be worth it. So go to the website if you want to. You don't have to. chemicalfreebody.com. And I'll show them how to get a double discount. So there's these things under the shop tab called savings bundles. Those are already discounted. Then throw in the code OPP and get a double discount, right? So if you want to stick your toes in the water, we have a little jumpstart bundle. If you want to go all in, you get the total energy and detox bundle and maybe throw in the silver for sure. That's because that came later. I probably need to redo the bundles again, get them all updated. Or go up the middle, maybe the super detox bundle. But then use the code OPP. We have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products because I believe in them so much and what Dr. Treadway's done. I know they're going to work for like 98% of you up the middle. These green juices, though, are foundational. If you just want like to do one thing, you guys can actually go to chemicalfreebody.com/upgraded. I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to make that work. I don't know if the code's going to work or not, though, Sean, on this because it goes to a special checkout page where they get actually 2 bags of greens, which is normally $179. They get a free coaching call one of our coaches, myself or a coach, for $97 for free 30 minutes. They get free access into my inner circle for lifetime with it's a subscription offer. Just so to be clear, you're going to get 2 bags of greens every month. You can shut it off with a click. It's easy. It's not one of those things. But I'm so committed because I know that if they just try it, that it's going to cut their grocery bill in half and it's going to pay for itself. It literally would cost you nothing as you lose weight and get your energy back. So the lifetime inner circle the weekly coaching thing is $997, and we also give them a $10 gift card. So it's over $1,200 worth of stuff, and that special offer is $69 just to kick the
Whoa.
tires.
There we go.
So that's a pretty good deal too. If you want to get on the greens, you're like, I'm gonna go on this. That's a good offer to take advantage of up front. Let the greens work, and then you could probably throw it in, go to the bundles later, whatever. Those are a couple different ways. They can also listen to my podcast, Tim James Upgraded. I've changed the name of my podcast like 3 times. Because I'm always upgrading. I think we're done now. Used to be the
Nice.
Health Hero Show. Then it was Tim James Unleashed. I never liked that one. Now it's Tim James Upgraded because that's all I'm going to do. And here's the thing is like, never think that you can never feel better. I went through this process for 15
Mm.
years. And I keep thinking, oh, wow, I try this, I do that, and I can't feel better. And then I do. And then I do. And then I do. You don't know how good you can feel. I feel like I'm just getting started now.
Yeah, man.
No way, right? And then I'm also on Instagram under Chemical Free Body Guy, just Chemical Free Body Guy. And we have some funny memes and stuff on there. And then I shoot
Yeah.
videos on dry fasting and different things.
Yeah, it's good
It's a lot of
stuff.
fun.
You're
But
good.
I mean, I love everybody and I want to help the people that resonate with this message. And come into
Love
the
it.
inner circle. We do it every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Sean, we'll have you come on the inner circle. You can meet and talk to everybody. We should
I would
have you
love that.
do it the weekend, maybe next week before the dry
Let's do it.
fast to talk to the people in the inner circle to see if anybody want to
There we
come do
go.
the dry fasting with friends thing.
Let's do that. Let's do that next week. I'll email the team and
Yeah, 6
have
p.m.
them set up.
Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. I'll have you come be a guest and we can rap about dry fasting and fasting with friends. And man, I hope, if I can be a different voice for your listeners that have not joined the dry fasting with friends things, like I would totally do it because it's a gift. This is a gift. If you can get through the bullshit fear mongering that you might be hanging on to in these two, even if you can only do it for a day, that would be a huge win. That would be such a huge win just to get over that hurdle and go, wow, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll do it 2 days, and then it's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
still alive. And then you hit 3 days. Whoa. Then some magical shit starts happening. Right,
Yeah.
and then you go to 5, and then so it gets it starts getting more magical,
Yeah.
right? And then the aftermath, the after effect is that confidence. Then it's just like, well, shit, like I was told this, I experienced this. Now I feel that was like after I left the institute the first time, bro. I left the institute, and then I'm like, I don't care how many doctorate and how long alphabet soup you got behind your name, nobody could take away how good I felt.
Yeah.
And I did it myself, and I learned to become my own doctor, and I've learned how to self-heal. And once you have
Yes.
that, woo, you're strong. Everything else, you're gonna crush it and everything.
Yeah, your life changes, your perspective changes tremendously. We just released this week an interview with he's like, I'm just a normie. He's like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm not a biohacker. I also don't have a disease. I just wanted to see if I could do this. And I talked to Chris and released that podcast episode today. So you can go back and
That's
listen to that.
awesome.
I think it's like dry fasting with normies or, what happened 1 year later, normie dry fast. But yeah, so perfect. This
Question.
is the final
Okay.
question. It's a fill in the blank. You can elaborate as much or as little as you want, but please fill in the blank. Everyone would benefit from knowing
The purpose of life is to what? Live.
Tim, thanks for joining me today on the Optimal Performance Podcast.
Thanks, brother.